always have to figure out if this thing is working. I think I'm live, but I'm not 100% sure. Hi, if you can hear me, it's Coach Katie from Portland, Oregon. And like the rest of you, I'm just like running around trying to have some lunch. I am so excited to be welcoming Miss Wendy Faraone, who I think many of you know when you know her work. You know her from Liv and Maddie. You know her probably from I Didn't Do It, from Walk the Prank, The Wizard's Return, Alex versus Alex. I'm in the band. I mean, so many different things. Hi, Miss Wendy. Are you there?
Yeah, hello.
Hi. Oh, so good to see you.
You too.
I'm so glad that you hurried up and hung up with ABC. You were on a production call, huh?
Actually, that one, it's interesting. I have these meetings with ABC, NBC, all of these different people, but things keep getting pushed all around because of what's happening. So luckily that one got a little pushed a little later, which is nice. So at least I have more time with you guys too.
Oh, good. Well, we have had Wendy, you guys, out to Portland, Oregon several times, and she's a huge hit. She comes in and she doesn't come in as like, I'm a very important Disney Channel director. She comes in as an artist who dives in with the kids and the teens that are here that want to grow their art, that want to grow their careers from an artist perspective. And that's one reason, Wendy, why I love talking to you. As you know, last week we got to talk with Fred Armisen from Saturday Night Live in Portlandia.
Amazing.
So we are feeling so very blessed and special to have you on today. So thank you. And we'll get to just some questions between me and you and conversation. And then we have a bunch of questions from kids and teens in the community, kind of across the nation really, that have written into us to ask you, Miss Wendy Faraone, all about all things acting. And as you know, you once were an actress too, right?
When I was young, so when I was a little kid, I did it, let's see, I had an agent probably by the time I was 9 or 10 and went out on a lot, did a lot of commercials and voiceovers and auditioned for days. So I definitely know what it's like when being a kid and going out in the world. You know.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
Orange County, California.
Okay, because you said agent, so that kind of like narrows the playing field. It's so different now, isn't it? Where kids and teens have agents all over the place. My hometown, Medford, Oregon, has a great little agency, IMD down there. So it's kind of interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Wendy, will you give us the cliff notes to, you were a childhood actor, and then how did you end up being one of the top directors for Disney, Nickelodeon, and so many other places? I follow you and I watch and I'm like, where is she now? I mean, you're in London, you're shooting, you're all over the place. So give us the little cliff notes so we can kind of understand how your journey brought you to where you are.
Sure, definitely. So I started off obviously doing a lot of acting as a kid. I did a lot of theater. And at a very young age, I realized that I actually preferred to direct. So I was directing childhood plays when I was like 9 years old, so this was something that was very much in my blood to do my whole life. So I started off, I did a lot of that. And then in college, I got my degree in theater directing. And from there, and this is where it gets interesting and what I like to tell students all over the world. I just finished getting my bachelor's in theater directing, and I was working at a little coffee shop. And another girl, she got a job there as well. And she was a little bit older than me, and she just got her master's from Yale in directing, where I was just a state school. We became really good friends. And she ended up becoming this woman, her name is Lee Shallot Schimmel, who's directed Gilmore Girls, I mean, everything on the planet. This friend of mine, she became her assistant. And that woman ended up directing the pilot of Hannah Montana. My friend happened to be there with her, and Disney Channel saw her and said, "You're here. Why don't you go ahead and be our set coach since you're here?" And at that point, we were both just making lattes at the little local coffee shop. So she was like, "Sure, I'll take it." So she took it. And then her and her husband got pregnant. So she called me and she said, "Wendy, come and watch this. Come see what this world is like." So I showed up to Hannah Montana, which was the first show, and watched and just shadowed the process. And then she got an opportunity to direct. And then I became the set coach. And then Disney asked me to be the on-set coach for other shows. And I went on to Sunny with a Chance. Let's see, I Didn't Do It, I'm in the Band, Casey Undercover, Ant Farm, Dog with a Blog, Live in you name it, for about, what, 12 years. I set coached, right?
Give me some props, lady. I love it. I gotta give you some props. That's so great. So great.
So yeah, so I started off, and I like to tell people, you know, my friend who's also a director, she literally lives down the street from me.
Oh,
So
that's so great.
we look at each other, we go, can you believe now we're directors? Like, this is what we do. We're not making lattes, we're directing now, you know?
But everything, out of everything you said, I just love that y'all are just making lattes. You know, you're just making coffee, and then they're like, from there to now where you're sitting and this position that you're in. And knowing you a little bit like I do, I also know that you lead with such a grateful heart. How did that journey, how did you keep grounded, and how did you keep yourself, you know, with your eye always on performance and the art versus, you know, like, you know how it can be, the glory, the, you know, the status and all of that. How do you stay grounded?
Well, here's the thing. When I was set coaching, the position itself is considered below the line. So, you know what that means, right? So it's like, we're crew. And I remember other directors coming in and either treating me and everybody else with respect, or not respecting the process and respecting everybody's job. And I watched that and went, I mean, for me, I respect every single person. Everybody serves a purpose in production. So when I started directing, and this is something that, it's like, I don't want to say I do this because that sounds terrible, but I'm very, very aware of what it's like to be in, you know, on crew. It's a difficult process, and I will always respect every single person, from somebody sweeping the floors to somebody telling me what they need. We're all the same. We're all after the same purpose. So for me, it's about respecting everybody and leading with that at the forefront. That's my goal, is to always see everybody as we're all there to lift each other up. And so I never see myself ever egotistically like in a different echelon, because that's not what it is. I couldn't do the job without, you know, somebody doing the props, or without somebody. We all serve the purpose.
I mean, I'd hate to see a movie without the hair makeup team. I'd hate to see a movie without craft services, God forbid.
Oh, hello, exactly.
I mean, I tell my students that too. I said the best thing that you can do is start by, you know, being a PA, learn to sweep floors, learn what that feels like to like contribute from that place, because you really will understand how important every position is.
Totally, completely.
So oh my gosh, okay, we got to go back. You got
Yeah.
because everybody's like, Hannah Montana. Well, so did you ever direct Hannah Montana episode, or did you just you did not just, but you know, you did set coaching for Hannah Montana?
Right.
So
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
do you have any little like fun tidbit stories for us from that time period?
Let's see. Okay, so that was so much fun for me, because Miley, I know she's cuckoo, but like, I adore her, and I will always love my time working on that show, because I can't explain it. She was just so much fun. She was such a light, and so crazy and so goofy. She's exactly how you would imagine her to be as a person, you know? And I remember there was a time where we were, oh God, what were we doing? We were working on one of the episodes, and she had just found out that there was a doll made after her. Like, she was like, wait, I have like a Barbie doll? And we're like, yes, Miley, you do. Where is this? So she never saw what was out there, you know? So we'd always have these conversations. She's like, I have no idea, you know? So she was fun like that. And then I remember I was in, God, where was I? Hawaii on vacation. And we were at a karaoke bar, and somebody started singing one of Miley's songs. So I texted her, and I was like, so people are like singing your stuff. And she's like, oh my God, this is nuts. So honestly, Miley, she will always just be such a, I don't know, just a great bright light from when I started doing this, because she was always wonderful. Yeah.
You know, I think all of us actors are a little weird.
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes us so spicy and fun, right? I hope.
Totally.
Like, cross. But I certainly loved her on The Voice, loved watching her personality and her enthusiasm for life. And you have that same enthusiasm and so much personality. I have like 1,000 million questions I want to ask you. It's so good just to be around your vibrant energy, by the way. Like, I know that from being in Portland, but even it just permeates. I don't know if y'all are at home watching this and you can feel that from Wendy, but it's something that is a great gift to her. Wendy, when you are watching people like Miley and so many other actors that you've been privileged to get the opportunity to share time and space with, would you say there are some different qualities that you tend to see more often than others for success? And if so, what sort of qualities do you see those young actors portraying or having or practicing that stand out to you?
I have to say the number one is confidence. And this is something I like to tell my actors when I'm directing as well. Actors, you know you better than anyone else, right? So if you have a strong choice or a strong idea or something where you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this, when you go for it, it always works. There may be a different opinion and a different way of seeing something, but for me, confidence. If you show up on set with confidence, knowing your lines, right? Knowing what you need to do, knowing everything, and treating everybody with respect, those are the people that will always stand out to me. You know, I've had the privilege of working with actors who have, what is it called? When they see, what is it? When you see something and you can memorize it really fast.
Oh, photogenic memory.
Yes. So
I don't have it, but I've heard.
But I remember that. I remember I've seen a couple actors like Dev Cameron, photogenic memory, and she would actually, photographic, I can't even talk. She would actually just look at the lines and just do this, and she'd have them down perfectly, you know? So confidence, professionalism, and learning how to respect the process, and also treating your scene partners with respect as well. You know, so that's it. Honestly, though, confidence, number one. When I
hear you say that, I think about, we teach acting classes at the studio and online, and I think about so many of the kids that they just don't naturally have confidence. What would you say they can do to help bring that out, or to be practicing and leaning into confidence?
You know what really helps with that? And I know you guys, I'm assuming you teach some improv classes, right? It's about getting out of your shell and being surrounded by people who will lift you up. Improv is huge. I send a lot of actors that I know, even that I work with on when I'm directing, I say, go take an improv class at the Groundlings or UCB, Second City, and they're like, I hate improv. Go check it out, right? Push yourself. You have to be kind of nudged in that direction. And then once you're surrounded by that safe space, I see confidence like no other.
It's so true. It's a great, great, great point, because I think also improv or any kind of warming, exercising, acting games help just sort of get you out of your head. And the minute you stop thinking, you can do what you just said, which was to be yourself. And if you're being yourself, then there's confidence, because you, right?
Exactly. You get it.
So you do, you were doing dialect coaching, or not dialect, excuse me, you were doing set coaching, performance coaching. And tell us how you moved from working with so many, I think we met you when you were just kind of crossing over into more directing, and that being your goal. I want to figure out how you, we sometimes all end up in these things that aren't exactly what we want to be doing, but we find ourselves there. Okay. But we don't always know how to get to where we were trying to go in the first place. So how did that happen for you? How did you go from growing up wanting to direct plays and having fun with it and kind of knowing that about yourself, to making lattes and ending up a set coach, acting coach, to still that through line coming into play for your ultimate career, which you're living? So tell us about that part of it.
It's interesting. I've had a very strong sense of myself since I was a kid. And obviously you never know where you're going to end up, what's going to happen along the way, along the path. But for me, and it's a good thing, but I know it can be bad as well. I never say no to opportunity. So when I'm given an opportunity, I jump. With the set coaching, I honestly had no clue when I jumped into that and went, I guess, but I jumped. My full-time coaching gig was Sunny with a Chance with Demi Lovato, where there was a lot of character development. They even wanted me to focus on accents, which I didn't really know about, but I went, yep, I can do it. And I just went for it. I researched, I studied. With directing, I know I got lucky. It was the experience, the amount of time I was on all of these different shows that really set me up for success. But on Liv and Maddie, I got lucky where the executive producer said, you're on the schedule, no questions. So I got lucky, and I know that, I didn't force. I didn't go, give me an opportunity. I just did my job the best that I could do, right? And by doing that, it was noticed. And then the opportunity was given. And I looked at my husband and went, I don't know if I really want to do this. I've been coaching, I teach. I don't know if I have what it takes, because it's such a hard gig for women. It's such a hard, but I just jumped in, fear and everything. And now I'm at 45 episodes in just over 3 years.
Come on, the audience, give me some snaps out there. Yes, you can't see it, but there's hundreds of people watching. So Wendy, you talked about what you noticed, and thank you. That gave me chills, what you said. I just love it. Let me backtrack. It gave me chills because what you said was you dove in 100%. You weren't like, well, I'll give him a little bit of me. It's not exactly what I want to be doing. You dove in and then some, right? Which I always say, one must go on until one can go no further, and then one step more. You went one step more, and that does lead to success. That does lead to success, and ultimately happiness too, right? I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned about what you noticed about some of the young actors that you worked with. I'm still super jealous about that photographic memory situation, but what about actors that you've worked with that you've thought, well, that's just too bad that they showed up in this way that we could all learn from as well?
Yeah, it's interesting. There are a couple different examples of that. One is if I focus on the multicam world, for example, and I know we do this in single cam as well, but that first day, that table read day, you come in, you sit around a table and you read the episode as if you're performing it as well. And I can't even tell you how many times actors, both kids and adults, will show up and just flip through the script and just kind of breeze through the dialogue. And I'm looking over at the writers and I'm looking at the network, and everybody looks up, right? And then the whole cast leaves and everybody freaks out. And they're like, they didn't bring it. They didn't know their lines. And I walked up to actors and said, what happened? It's just a table read, no big. I'm like, no, everything's based off of this. So I've had to teach a lot of actors the process and knowing what happens on set and saying, oh God, no, stick with it, So I've seen that. That's one thing. When actors come in and it's hard, this is a big one. And you know this as well. In my world, we live in notes. We just give notes all day long. I give 30 notes to my actors for a scene a day, it's just our process. So there are some actors who will actually say, I don't, I think what I'm doing is good, or it's hard for me to take a note. That's hard. If somebody's not open, right, and ready to take on anything that just kind of changes and tweaks the performance, it's tough. It's tough to watch that as well. So people who are kind of closed off, not ready, not open for change, and those that aren't prepared, that's when I see, I don't want to say issues, but I mean, I guess things have happened in those situations,
That's putting it really nicely. You're so sweet. You're like, so things have happened. To your point about table reads, like sometimes my actors that I'm working with, we'll do a table read in class, and they'll kind of be like, we're going to do a table read. I'm like, yes, because we actually have to learn how to do this, because we need to be comfortable reading with the full spirit of the character, the essence of the character. Maybe not getting up and doing a full karate scene, but the essence of the character, right? So what's really cool also about you, and this is something I'll never understand. You direct nonstop. You've got amazing, wonderful partner that you adore. And yet you find time to go to so many cities to share what you've learned, what you know, and do acting workshops. We've been blessed with that. Our students across Oregon have been blessed with that. Can you tell me why? Why do you keep teaching? Where do you teach? What are some of the workshops that you may have coming if we ever get out of our homes ever again? We will, but I'd love to know what's coming up for you as well. So kind of talk a little bit about that.
I love that. Yeah, teaching for me started actually when I was coaching on Hannah Montana. The story I like to tell is I remember there was a moment where I was standing in the camera aisle. We have 4 cameras in multicam, and I was standing right there while we were shooting. And the director, who was very technical, walked up to Miley and was like, all right, make sure you're 50-50. A camera's going to get your single. Make sure you banana on your way out and play the line a little more sotto voce for me before you hit the button. And then he walked away. And Miley looked at me and just went, what? And I was like, what do you mean, what? She's like, what is this? So I went through everything that I had learned, right? And I said, this, and that. And I was teaching as I was coaching. And for me, a light bulb went off in that moment of, oh my God, so many kids get audition classes. They know how to audition, right? They know how to book the role, which obviously is massive and important. But what happens after when you show up, right? I've seen actors flail because they're like, where am I looking? I'm holding for laughs. What is this? So for me, my goal when I started teaching, now it's been like, what, 14 years now of teaching, 14 years, 14 or 15, whatever it is. But anyway, so when I saw that, I went, I want to teach as many actors as I can what happens after the fact, so that when they book the role, they're prepared and they're ready to go. So that's what motivated me to teach, is to give everybody knowledge. So once they show up, they're confident. And as far as classes, yeah, once we get out, it's interesting. I'm booked right now to direct a 2-part Christmas special for Raven's Home. So I'm super excited about that. And then out to direct Bunked, the new series, or the newest season of Bunked. So I'm really busy directing. So as far as teaching, one school that I teach at all the time that I love is in Singapore. So I really hope I get to go back there, because those actors were brilliant and hungry and ready. And as far as other classes, I'm hoping New York. I have a camp in August that I'm hoping to get to, if we're safe and healthy and everything, runs its course. And then as far as that, I think Kentucky is another class I have on the books once this all goes away.
Well, we have always loved having you, and hey, we'll take you for an online workshop all day long, lady.
I'll take it.
We would love to have you. Well, let's get to some fun questions. I'm sure we'll think of more from some of our students too, who wanted to ask you a few things. I don't know why, but I just really wanted to ask you this question. Just tickled my heart so much. So it's from Liliana. She says, does Disney plan on doing a live action mermaid show or movie? If they do, will they be hiring real child mermaids? Because she definitely feels that her dream was to be a mermaid in film. And I love that question.
That is the best thing ever. Oh my God. I love that. I wish I knew, and I wish they did hire real child mermaids, because you would be on the list, Liliana.
Okay, so if they do, we've got the gal for you.
Yes, definitely. That's great to know. I will keep that in mind and tell the people that would be making that TV series or that movie for sure.
This is a question from Brandon and Jet. The guys want to know, this is great. What do directors look for when casting child actors? And does height make a difference?
That's a good question. It depends. If you're playing a role, if you're coming in for a reoccurring guest role, right? Sometimes they'll look at height compared to who you're playing opposite. So if you come into, let's say, Raven's Home, and most of your scenes are with Navia, who plays Nia, they're going to want to see how you work together. So they'll do a chemistry read to see how that works. And yes, visual, that's what we're looking for as well. So height plays a part, but it's not something to worry about, because here's the thing, there's a role for everybody, right? There's a character out there for everyone to play. As far as what I'm looking for as a director, honestly, I go back to this. I go back to confidence. I go back to strong choices, bringing your true self to the character, professionalism, and honestly, knowing your stuff. Because as a director, especially Disney, Nickelodeon, one of my main constraints is time. I have no time. I'm on what's called kid time. I'm sure as you know, Katie. So kid time all the time. So I have like 20 minutes to do a 5-page scene. So if my actors come in and they're not prepared, not confident, don't have strong choices, then I'm racing the clock, right? So for me, it's come in and know your stuff, strong, unique, honest choices for you. And that's always what I'll be looking for.
A thought just occurred to me to bring up something about actors not loving to get notes. Sometimes the notes have to come so fast because you have to accomplish something so quickly. It's not about that they aren't making great choices. It's about something else that needs to be accomplished in a short period of time, Wendy.
Right.
Okay, so we have a 5-year-old that wrote into you. I love it. Her name is Veda. She says, I was Pippi Longstocking for Halloween one year. What do you like about that character? Did you see a cartoon while you were talking, or just pretend to? Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so first thing, this goes way back. When I was a kid and I did lots of voiceovers, I was Pippi Longstocking in a movie. I was her voice for quite a few scenes back in the day, like the real Pippi Longstock.
No way. So that's so great.
So random. I love it. I love it so much.
I wanted to know if you saw the cartoon while you talked.
It's interesting. I haven't seen the cartoon. I should check.
I think she's asking when you did the voiceover.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yes, so I did. So what they did when I did the voiceover, I remember they were actually playing the movie itself as I was doing all of those vocals over the movie, so they could match it and line it up.
That's a real fan, Wendy. Little Veda, little age 5 Veda. Hi, Miss Veda. We love you. So glad you wrote us.
Totally.
Okay, Serena has a question. I think you've answered one or two of these, but I really, really like this one. What is something that you wish all actors knew going into an audition?
Ooh, that's a big one. What they knew. Obviously, for me, I'm a huge fan of training. So for me, before going in an audition, it's knowing what you could bring to the character that makes it really pop for you. So for me, it's about bringing your best self to the audition and knowing how to draw that out of yourself, right? It's knowing, doing research on the project that you're auditioning for as well. So knowing what kind of style and tone you'll be auditioning for. So it's basically doing all of your homework before you walk in the door, right? So homework for me is who's directing, who's writing, who's casting this, what have they done before, breaking down that scene, making the strongest choices possible, getting off book and just going in and being your bad self and having fun with it.
Being your bad self. You know what's so interesting? I loved when I learned this when I was, because I've been acting for 22 years now, and I remember hearing over and over again, it took like the umpteenth hundredth time, listening to casting directors and directors say, what you don't realize is when you walk in the door, we're rooting for you. We want you to blow our minds. We want it to be you.
Yes. Yes, that's massive. Casting directors, everyone is for you, right? Because we don't want to look at a million, I'm not a casting director, but directors and casting directors, we don't want to watch a million actors. We want that person to walk through those doors, right? No one is against you ever in this industry. Everybody is fighting for you. That's great. That's a great thing to say.
I just love that because it took it from, oh, they're all judging me to they all want me to be the one. And I hope I am.
Yes.
So that's really awesome. Okay, let's see what else we got here. We've got Livy. So she says, with your experience directing actresses to play two different roles, was it one actress to play two different roles? Was it hard? And she would love to know about how to get into directing as a child, as a kid.
That's really fantastic. So first, being on Liv and Maddie. So I was lucky to be the coach on that show and then to direct. That's where I started directing as well. And Dove Cameron, if you guys all know her, she's absolutely perfection. Her choices have been magnificent since day one. So with Dove, it was very easy to help guide and help her find what she wanted for the character whenever it was necessary. On that show, when I was coaching, what would happen is a lot of the writers and the network, they would give the director and me performance notes and we'd go out. And with Dove, I'm not kidding, it would be like, they want this, or how about this? And she's like, yep. And then it would be flawless, right? So Dove was always open to change. It was very, very easy to work with her as an actress. She would come in when she would play Maddie, she'd have earbuds in, she'd be listening to maybe some like rock music, her body language would change. She would become the character as soon as she walked on that door, in that door. That was it. Same for Liv. We found out recently, my editor actually brought this up, it's crazy pants. She turned, I think it was Liv, she made Liv left-handed and no one had a clue. Think about that, right?
Wow.
So as an actress, she came in with very strong choices, very strong skills. So that was great. As far as directing, technically, it was very difficult. because we had to have Dub. I'm sure a lot of you know this as well. Dub would play opposite a double, an acting double. Their names were Shelby and Emmy. They're amazing actors. So she would play opposite somebody while we would basically freeze cameras, right? We would lock them. And then our editor would be able to paint the other person out once we turned around and had Dub play the other character. So technically it got a little crazy, but a lot of fun as well. And then let's see, as far as her becoming a director, do what I did. I'm telling you, start creating, get your neighbor, well, you could Zoom with your neighbors. I know.
Mom, dad, and cat and dog to help out.
Here we go. Do your research on directors that you love. Find out what they do. Reach out. Get some tidbits. Get some ideas. Talk to Katie, right? And for me, it's just about using your own imagination in your own backyard to get something going for yourself. And that will start translating. And then once you're in school, start directing the projects there, right? So for me, it's about that. It's keeping your eye on the prize the whole time and following that path.
Absolutely. You know, a quote that I just love, Wendy, I don't know if I've turned it into something maybe over the years, but it's that happiness is being in pursuit of your potential. And it's not just happiness it doesn't say happiness is when you reach your goals. Happiness is being in pursuit of that potential. And I love that, because when you put your goal in front of you and you're striving and trying to come up with any different way around it, and just like you said, like just participating in it, that's when your heart sets on fire and you just are like, I can do anything because I'm moving towards something, you know?
Totally. Perfect.
You're so inspiring, Miss Wendy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, what does Mr. Carter have to say, my little buddy Carter out there? If someone is trying to get into Disney work, do you have any suggestions? You must get that a lot, I would guess.
I do. It's interesting. So Disney does general searches. So and I'm not sure if they've been to Portland or not. Katie, have they been to your school?
No, they were gonna come one time, but then canceled or something. Okay. And there's a lot of like companies that come in that are, you know, they want thousands of dollars. And
no. So there's a very specific group. The last year, I think the last time they did it was Jenny Keene and Monica. Jenny Keene is her last name. Jenny? I can't think of her last name right now. Hello, mind is blanking. But Disney, what they do, Disney Channel, they actually have casting directors from their channel go out and do a broad search around the states. It happens sometimes every year, sometimes every other year. A lot of times you could find that information on Actors Access, but big thing right here, always do your research. It'll never cost money. It'll never cost thousands of dollars. Look for those names, IMDb those names and go, oh my God. Like Judy Taylor, she's head of casting for Disney Channel. And if you see her name or Leah Buono's name, it's like, okay, this is real. So a lot of general searches do happen and they go all over. They've actually reached out to me and say, we know you teach, where do you go? You know, so I'm pretty sure maybe I gave them your name last time, but I definitely will, right? As far as seeing audition, Actors Access, that's where a lot of that will go out there. Self-tapes are huge. Everything, especially now, we all live in self-tapes, right? So don't get discouraged if you're like, I'm not seeing somebody in person for a Disney audition. Oh, no, self-tapes are everything, right? So Actors Access is where you'll really see that information and look for those key names for those general searches.
Thank you, Wendy. And just so the kids out there know, and your families that are maybe watching, Actors Access is a website that you can go to and sign up for the different auditions that happen all across the country. So actorsaccess.com, I believe. And yeah, I think that's such a good point. If you see that there's somebody coming to your town, and it's like big audition, we're looking for people, call your local casting director or local acting coaches. I get those calls a lot and I'm able to research and be able to get back to people and be like, they're going to end up asking you for a lot of money. That's not legitimate. That's really important. But I love that Disney just is out looking for new faces all the time. That makes me so happy.
Always. It's fantastic.
Makes me happy. All right, Mr. Mason. Okay, cool. This is so fun. I love this. It's different. How do you choose people for movies and shows? And how do you choose locations and settings for your shows?
Okay, so that's a great question. First of all, because when it comes to, it's different worlds. So multicam, Being a director, it's interesting. I'm not in the casting process unless it's a pilot, which hopefully I'll be getting into pilots soon, I've been told. So that's a big thing that I really want to get into. But yes, my job is not really in the part of hiring. So what happens in the multicam Disney Channel world, actors are just there. And I'm like, oh, this is who was cast. And I'll watch the tapes to go, this is what they were looking for, and try to lean into whatever it was they were casting. So when it comes to looking for actors, for that world, I don't look into. Now, I just shot a Christmas, it was a short, but right now, crossing my fingers, it may turn into a feature soon. Very excited. It was a Christmas movie that we shot in Scotland. And that we cast basically locally. We put it out to people we knew, the writer and I actually Zoomed with both of my lead actors. That's how I found them. And for me, it was looking for their chemistry. And also, not only was their ability a massive thing, but it was what kind of choices were unique. What did I see in the dialogue that they brought that no one else brought, right? And then how were they as humans? Because we're going to be locked up, and I'll get to this location-wise, in a manor together for a week or more. And I need to make sure that everyone is going to get along and personalities are on point. So as far as searching for locations, it's all project dependent, right? So for example, the Scotland movie, we were very lucky. At first we had a castle in mind, but they wanted, oh good Lord, tens of thousands of dollars to shoot a 3-day short. We were like, okay, we're good. So that played a huge part of this, right? And then actually somebody had known this castle, it's called the Eriseg House, or this manor. A woman had stayed there. Her and her son had stayed there every year. So it was kind of a family manor that they visited. And it just so happened this woman, she was an investor in the project, right? So she also said, look, this place is beautiful, check it out. We checked it out. We fell in love with it. So then that's how we made our decision. So it all just kind of depends on the project itself, on what you're looking for, lighting wise, tone wise, artistically, visually. You know, I could go on and on about locations forever, but I love that question. It's fantastic.
I do too. I don't think I've ever had a kid ask that before. And, you know, that's one of those beautiful things about, like you were saying, there's so many different people that make a difference in movies, and people don't realize there's location, you know, managers, people who are location scouts. That's their whole job, is to present places and ideas. So shout out to our location scouts out there too.
Seriously.
Okay. Wendy, what has been the biggest challenge working in this industry? Mr. Max P. Hi, Max. Wants to know.
That's a great question. I'm going to say it, being a woman in a leadership position. Luckily, because this is my personality, I've been lucky because I don't take things personally. That's a big thing for directors, to not take things personally. So for me, it's being a woman in charge. I've walked onto sets, and things hopefully are starting to change, because the more we direct, us ladies, right, the better this gets. But I don't know how many times I've walked onto a show for the first time and somebody walks up to me and says, oh, are you with makeup? Are you with hair? Are you with wardrobe? And I'm like, I'm your director this week. And it's, oh. So I have to shift the perspective. So for me, it's coming in confident, just like actors, right? I have to come in with a plan, confident, have it all down, have every single answer for anyone figured out as soon as I get there, right? So that I can get the job done. So being a woman in power, luckily things are somewhat changing, and I've been very grateful because of my own personality in itself, but it's difficult. It's difficult when you're in an industry where it's been, you know, a certain kind of person has taken over this industry for so long. And when you come in and try to change the game, it's changing everybody. So that's been a big challenge, you know, but I'm happy to have it and happy to change the way so that younger directors can rise up and not have these issues that we have, you know?
Absolutely. And to anybody that says, oh, that's not a challenge. I think 2 years ago, accepted a good job directing, and was told by the female head of production that they sourced back around to me that I wasn't allowed to call action or cut. That no.
Wait,
We'll talk about it later. Oh, it's a whole story. It lasted like 2 times. I would have to look at the guy who was the AD and be like, like I'm good. We'll talk about it later. But
Oh God.
and it's not just like we have to change a male perspective, but just perspective in general.
Yeah.
This was a female that just was, I'm sure she just had never maybe worked in that capacity with the woman and was feeling uncomfortable. I don't know. But yeah, so it is a real thing, and a lot of respect to you for forward thinking on who's coming behind. I mean, I'm would love to be where you're at, Wendy, and so you just keep trailblazing, lady.
I will, and you're there. You're doing.
No, I'm gonna be catching up to you. I don't know, but not just yet. Okay, let's see. This is from Penny. Oh, Penny has been joining. We have free classes every day. This is one of them, and so it's been really great. We've had kids from Florida and New York and Chicago and Boston, and Penny joins me all the time. She's a real delight. So hi, Miss Penny. She says, oh, what is your favorite show that you've worked on, if you have a favorite?
Ooh, oh my God, it's so hard now. It's so hard. I'm gonna say right now, it is Just Roll With It. Because that show, I've been very lucky. Usually you get 2 episodes, sometimes 3 max on a show. And I've been grateful and lucky. I've gotten 6 each season so far. And so that's it's one of those things where I know it doesn't happen often, but the cast is just absolutely dynamo. The writers are the most inventive, unique, creative writers I've ever worked with. The trust level that they have in me is tremendous. So across crew is phenomenal. I'm taking them to another project that I'm doing, my crew on Just Roll With It, to another project because we just work really, really well together. So Just Roll With It, I would say it's my number 1. And it's just the most interesting, wacky show out there. So that makes it a lot of fun for me. Big challenges.
Ooh, so everybody out there, make sure you pay attention and just roll with it.
Please do. That show itself, if you guys don't know it, check it out. It's I think it's on Disney Plus now, but it's, oh my God, the audience chooses what happens to the actors, and the actors have no clue.
Yes.
So we have to literally roll with it. And they make the directors go on camera too. I hate being on camera. I'm behind the camera. That's my thing. So I'm always like, I look like a preschool teacher, and they always make fun of me, but that's okay. That's okay.
It's good that you can have a good sense of humor about it, though. You're like, oh well, I don't know about you, but I mean, as a director, you need it. Like we need one more person in the background. I'm like, oh, I'll walk behind there real quick. I know we only have a couple more minutes, and then one of the things I really want to make sure that we just address, because there's lots of moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, and people watching right now. What advice would you give to the parents out there, both to the ones that they're like, we don't know what to do and where to start, so that parent, and the one that is like, should we move to LA? We're ready to go. My child's a star. Two different voices there.
Okay, so, and I've seen all of this, right? I've seen it on set, I've seen it teaching, the whole bit. So for the parent that is like, I don't know what to do, look for your local training, like the best local training in your area. Find out who they are, because a lot of times those people will have answers for you. What I like to say is you want to start in your own market, in your own world, before you start branching out to places like LA and New York. Make sure you do everything you possibly can. And as a parent, it's allowing your child to kind of take you there instead of pushing them into it. It's being helpful and being a parent, not a stage parent, right? It's it's being the one to help and support, which is your big role in this industry as well, right? Is to really just play the parent. So for you, it's about looking first at your local school. So like in Portland, obviously this school, right? Talk to Katie. Katie's going to have all of these people in your market ready for you, and will be able to answer those questions. So I would say exhaust your market first and what you can do, and train. Not only going to classes, I just think it's massive because it teaches you so much. You learn how to work with others. You learn how to make these strong choices. And then once you get those auditions, everything's just going to fall by the wayside. It's going to be real, real easy because of all the work you've put in, right? So parents, if you don't mind helping those kids get out there, but here's the big thing. As soon as that kid looks at you and says, I don't like this, I just want to play soccer, you let them play soccer. Right? It's one of those things where I've seen parents go, but we've done so much. But if your kid is not interested, right? Follow their lead. Follow their lead.
I love that, Wendy. My favorite piece of advice to give to parents who ask me this sort of question is, my hope is that you'll give your kid a childhood, and that whatever that looks like, if their childhood looks like baseball, if their child looks like gymnastics, if they're singing, acting, but give them a childhood, give them an opportunity to just be a kid, to stay a kid. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. There was on a show called Sunny with a Chance with Demi Lovato. The woman who played her mom, her name's Nancy McKeon. She was Jo on Facts of Life. And I remember having this conversation with her, and she goes, you know, when our show, and I know kids, you guys don't know what this is, but parents may.
I know the show.
Good Lord. But I remember having this conversation with her, and she said, you know what? When our show became a hit, a lot of actors, like their parents would just let them do anything, go to parties, go crazy. She would go home and her mom would say, do the dishes, make your bed. And she's like, her mom would just go, no, I'm sorry, when you're home, these are your chores, this is your job. And that grounded her for life, right? So she was a grounded human and still is, because she had a parent parenting, right?
That makes me want to cry. I just love that. That's my point. Like, and also it's for longevity, right? You don't want to just burn a kid up as a childhood star. Longevity is pursuing the art of what we're doing.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to your point about training, Wendy, this whole Corona thing,
Right.
The one blessing is like, we have moved our entire program online. So now, there's no reason a kid can't find a really great acting class. Well, first of all, we're here, but also there's so many wonderful people out there that are doing this very thing. So, well, we are at the hour mark, and I could talk to you forever. I want to say something to you, Miss Wendy. My whole pursuit in working with these kids is to support them and to let them know that they're not alone, and that right now things are a little different and a little scary. And, they can sense that in the adults, and they're smart. They can sense it for themselves. And having you come on board and letting us share time with you to brighten up our day, to brighten these kids' days. I will be a fan of yours for life. You are a true hero to so many kids across our country and in Singapore and so many other places. And it's a true testament of character when you have the success that you do have and you live your life in service of. And the number one thing I think when actors ask me what they can do to have a long career and to have a successful career, I say, be of service.
I love it.
Be of service. And you are, oh woman, you are so in service. You're in service to the art. You're in service to the crew, to the creative. You're in service to children. And you're in service to life. And so on behalf of Acting for Kids and Teens, all the kids and families watching you that you can't see, we love you and we're rooting for you. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you for having me. That was amazing. It was amazing.
Well, we'll see you soon. I'll see you online, beautiful lady.
Definitely. Right back at you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you guys soon online.